amigos!
Welcome back to West Sylvan Broadcast News. Today we're going to be interviewing Miss Crosby and Miss Sebastian.
Let's get to some interviews.
So what block do you teach and how often do you teach it?
I teach 6th grade block every day.
And do you teach in the morning and afternoon?
Yes, that's a good question. I teach first period, second period is the morning block, and 5th and 6th period are my afternoon block.
And what is your opinion on homework for block? So what is your opinion on homework?
My opinion on homework, well, I try to keep it consistent and pretty low. My homework is every day, including weekends, which I know for some people is a drag. My students are supposed to write for 10 minutes, whatever they want to write in a journal. They also have to read a minimum of 15 minutes per day for a goal of 25 minutes per day. And that's it. And my philosophy behind homework is I want to make sure that whatever I'm grading, that it's done in class, so that if students get help, I'm not grading their parents or their sister or brother, I'm grading what they are doing. Yeah.
And so do you have any electives?
I do. I have one elective. I teach journalism 7th period to 6th graders.
Would you want any more electives?
Oh, well, so I teach 3 subjects per day: English, language arts, ancient world studies, and journalism. And that's a lot, so I don't think I'd be able to have time to have any more subjects per day.
Yeah. And how many years have you been teaching?
This is my 3rd year teaching at West Sylvan, but this is my 4th year teaching overall.
And have you taught any other grades?
I taught 7th and 8th grade social studies while I was filling in for another teacher, so it wasn't for an entire year. And then when I was a student teacher, I taught high school philosophy and world history.
So would you want to go back to those grades and teach again?
I thought about going to high school, but I really like middle school, and I really like 6th grade. If I were to change, I might change to 8th grade, but I like 6th grade.
And what inspired you to start teaching?
Well, it's a good question. I thought about it off and on for a while, but when I was in college, I tutored student athletes at the University of Oregon, and I really loved that. Even though it was one-on-one, it wasn't in a classroom environment, but that's, I would say, primarily what inspired me to teach.
And adding on to that question, when did you know you wanted to teach block?
Oh, block. When I was in, I knew I wanted to teach block when I was doing my student teaching experience, and I taught 6th grade language arts. And I love teaching language arts, but I thought it would be really cool to combine ancient world studies or a social studies into it.
And what is your favorite part of teaching block class?
I love that I have my students for 2 periods every day. I can get to know them pretty well, and we can develop a good community and a good relationship. And I love the flexibility because some days we have to work on language arts for 2 periods, and other days we have to work on social studies for 2 periods.
And what is your least favorite part, or do you not have it?
I would say that definitely the most challenging part of teaching block is that there are so many standards that I have to cover for English language arts as well as for social studies, and so it's 2 core classes that I have to prepare for every day, which is a lot. Because journalism, I love journalism, it's an elective, but electives, there are not as many things to cover, and so it's not as much stress for preparing.
And then last question, do you have any advice for next year's 6th graders?
I do. I would have to say I would have to tell them they should read a lot on their own, they should write a lot on their own, and just get into those habits and those daily practices every day, and then they should limit their screen time. Yeah. And limit Fortnite, please.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for your time, and thank you for letting us interview.
Of course, thank you. Ella.
You hear that, kids?
Limit your Fortnite time.
If you didn't already realize, Miss Sebastian's also our journalism teacher.
Go watch the first episode to see the interview that we did with her.
Now on to Miss Crosby.
How do you think it's different from teaching block or difference on our numbers?
Yes, there's definitely a difference. The biggest difference, especially here at West Sylvan, is that the majority of the immersion students don't have two parents at home who speak Spanish the whole time, so they have to learn a lot more vocabulary. They have to get all of the same content as you to get in English, but they also have to learn wild boar, spear thrower, and then a lot of the geography words as well. There's also a lot fewer resources available for me as a teacher, so a lot of things I end up having to translate or create.
Have most of the students been speaking Spanish for, like, in elementary school too?
Yes, the majority of the students that are in immersion have been in immersion since kindergarten. There are some that have joined later, second grade, third grade. Even occasionally a student will join in middle school if they have family that speaks Spanish.
So what's your opinion on homework?
Well, that's a hard one. So when I went to school, we had a lot more homework. Whenever we had group projects, they were homework. Whenever we had research, it was homework. And a lot of the things that I've seen kids do in school was homework. In some ways, I think that was easier for my teachers because then everybody was on working at the same pace. Because part of the problem of, say, doing a research paper in class now is that some students will finish a week earlier than other students. But the downside of that is that they oftentimes don't have someone to help them, or I can't guarantee that they don't have a sibling or a parent doing the homework for them. So I can see the benefit of doing it in school. I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I don't know. I still kind of am torn about homework.
Do you have any electives?
I don't teach electives, and that's because Spanish immersion students have to take language arts in Spanish and in English. So I have 2 blocks, but then at my other class is I do English language arts for half of my students. So some of my students I have 3 periods a day.
Okay, so about it being a combined, so you teach a normal block class, but then you also teach.
No, I teach immersion as a block class. So I have social studies and language arts in Spanish in the morning, social studies and language arts in Spanish in the afternoon, and then for 1 period I teach English language arts. And I have half of my morning class and half of my PM class in that English language arts class.
How many years have you been at West Sylvan for?
This is my 3rd year.
Where are the groups?
Have you taught at any other schools?
I haven't. I did a little bit of teaching before school at at one of the elementary schools, but just being an official teacher, I've only worked at West Sylvan.
Have you taught any grades other than 6th grade?
No, just 6th grade so far.
Do you have any advice for incoming Spanish American students that are going to come to West Sylvan as a teacher?
During the summer, you need to keep reading in Spanish, watching TV in Spanish, trying to use Spanish, because otherwise in those 10 weeks between 5th grade and the beginning of 6th grade, you're going to lose a lot, and then it's going to be pretty stressful at the beginning of the year.
So do a lot of students not read in Spanish and then come in at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. In English, it might not be as important because if you spend 10 weeks still talking to your friends in English, doing things in English, but if you go 10 weeks without using Spanish at all, your brain's going to be rusty and it has to like dig it out, and so then it's harder.
All right. Well, thank you for allowing us to use your time to interview you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Ms. Crosby, for letting us interview you. It was so interesting learning about block in Spanish.
And thank you to Lulu for interviewing her.
Well, that was the end of our video. If you haven't seen our previous videos, go check them out because they're really fun.
And fresh.